Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP, and with me I got
Mickey Be Fresh. And today we're going to dive into an interview that Hugo Philion did with Tim Rowley, who is from FTSO AU, which is a signal provider. So we're going to show some clips here of Hugo, who's the CEO of Flare Unlimited, talking about the Songbird Network and why they created it, and some of the applications that are being built on it, and why a canary network was really necessary. And one of the biggest takeaways here, Patty, that I got from Hugo was that Flare has just gotten bigger than they even really expected, and of their success in developing it and the community's outreach and excitement towards it. So when it started as a white paper last year, and they did the snapshot, it has grown to be something that much bigger since, and the community engagement. So we should all be proud of that as a community, being the XRP community, being top community for Flare Network, as its foundation has shown such engagement, and the Flare team has built so much now that it basically needs a canary network for it to really see its full potential.
Absolutely, and I think the community thing really stands out because there are a lot of eyes on the project at this point. And while there's some people in the XRP community that aren't necessarily as excited about it, there still is a large portion of our community that's interested in the project and wants to see how it goes. Obviously, some people are going to become a little detached the longer it takes for it to come along, but that's just kind of the nature of everything. And I don't see a ton of interest. Dogecoin's the next one, but they're not, following it in the ways that the XRP community is. Haven't really seen much from Litecoin. And then Stellar, I don't really know anything about their community, but it does overlap with XRP some. So I think we should expect to see them involved. But yeah, it's definitely, it's grown a lot since me and you got in here. But
I think one of the reasons that the XRP community is going to always be more involved is we're receiving this Spark token as an airdrop,
yes.
And now we're receiving Songbird. So we have a economic reason to be there. There's value coming to us to be at the center of this when it begins. Now, when the asset system launches, then I think we'll see more of the engagement from Doge and from Stellar and Litecoin. But right now, they're not getting anything for free. So it's hard to see how they're going to be participants. So this is the advantage the XRP community has, is that we have this value coming to us. We have a canary network to be able to test everything on fully with real value in it. And then we have the Flare network launching, which is going to be a hardened institutional grade blockchain.
Absolutely.
So let's go into some clips here, Patty, that we have from the interview.
All right.
Why again Flare now? Why isn't the network coming in now?
Okay, let me try and explain how we got Songbird, what Songbird's for, and all that kind of stuff. So I think as we developed from white paper through to like FTSO, through to this like big definition of what Flare is, it's gone from let's do smart contracts for a very limited number of chains to Flare is a huge interoperability and like cross-chain liquidity protocol at this point, right? And so testing something in isolation with say a single token is one thing, and having a small and slow launch with that would be one thing. But Flare's become quite a lot bigger than that, just in terms of the communities that are involved, the coverage it has as a network. We don't actually have the luxury really. Lots of smaller networks no one's ever heard of, but basically like the people called ghost chains. We don't actually have that luxury for there to be no transactions on Flare. We're kind of happening around being a blockchain the other way around than traditional. The other way around from the most traditional launches, they're just desperate that anyone uses the chain. Flare is in a bizarre position, a wonderful position, so to speak, whereby we probably are one of the most publicized launches, probably ever, with one of the largest user bases, probably ever. And if we were, one of those other Ethereum killer chains that kind of no one has heard of, then the launching would be very, very low risk to us. Because no one uses it, there's no applications building on it, the number of transactions per second is probably not even a millionth of, a hundredth or a thousandth of what it's capable of doing. But what we are expecting, what we're seeing from essentially the community is that we can have a fast launch with suddenly this wall of applications coming to the network, large amounts of transactions coming to the network. And so everything is 10 times, 100 times bigger than our expectations when we started this out.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good point to stop right there, Mickey, just to address the first half of this clip. And, he really focuses on the fact that, this project has gotten a lot bigger than, what they originally were expecting. And that kind of leans into what we were talking about before we played this clip.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is one thing that, you and I noticed months back when they first started talking about Flare Network, the end of 2020 and into the beginning of 2021. We noticed that some of this breakthrough technology is going to catch the eyes of the markets, the industry, and it's caught the eyes of the VC investors. So they've found Digital Currency Group, Kinetic Capital, Borderless, and a bunch of others who have invested into Flare Limited to be a part of this, market makers, exchanges. And now we have a bunch of applications going to launch when Flare Network launches. And here's the key thing is that Flare was planning to launch fully decentralized with a full governance structure to it. No network has really ever done that at this scale. It was never been done. So what I think is Flare realized this is something much bigger than we initially planned. We have a huge community that's going to be participating in this network at launch with all these applications, with this native token being airdropped on 100 exchanges. We need this canary network. And they look to Polkadot, and we'll see that in the next part of this clip here, how Polkadot pretty much showed that Kusama as a canary network was so successful in launching Polkadot that Flare looked to that and said, this is probably the best way for us to launch the Flare network as a hardened institutional blockchain, but with an advanced cutting edge canary network out there for all the testing first.
Yeah, and I just want to add a couple things before we play the rest of this one. I don't know if he says it in the rest of this little clip we're going to show, but he did say that they had been talking internally about possibly implementing Songbird for about the past 2 months. And, they wanted to take time to see if they were going to be able to meet the original deadlines and all that stuff, and opted with, the reasons he's giving now on why they launched Songbird. And if you're a person that really needs to know the why behind, what they're doing, I highly, highly suggest you guys go check out the full interview. It's on Tim Rowley, his YouTube channel. So here's the rest of this one.
Can I just great place to be before you go?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I know everyone's just what you said there for a reason why this is happening. And I do want to stress this because our community is very intelligent. They also like to speculate a lot on things just to find a reason for something. And I'm going to tell you straight up here, and Hugo tells you, the Flare network is not delayed because it was waiting for a bull market or it had a bear market. It's irrelevant to what market when Flare launched. It's a network. It's not about the market. It's about the network and the on-chain development, separate. And it wasn't directly related to the SEC case. It's not why they delayed launch. They're telling you the specifics of why here. So these are the answers that I think people are looking for. And I know it's easy to think, oh, wait, they need a bull market. Oh, the SEC case isn't closed. But those really aren't factual reasons. These are really the factual reasons of why the network is being designed as a canary network first.
Yeah.
And Flare was delayed.
Yeah, and to quote Brad, you don't have to believe it, but it's still true. So here's the rest of this one.
It's a great place to be, but we also need to make sure that it goes extremely smoothly. Because we have, as a community and as a development house, we have this amazing opportunity. And the opportunity is that we can create one of the largest networks that's ever been built. But in order to do that, it has to be stable, it has to be secure, it has to be perfect. So we've got to take that opportunity, but in order to take that opportunity, we have to do it in a sensible and logical way that allows for everything we're trying to achieve as a community and as a developer to come to fruition. If we were to launch in the way that other people have launched, but with probably 10 to 100 times the interest, then we could really come unstuck. Many of the changes you've seen in the launch have put out hundreds of updates in the first couple of months, weeks, years of their existence, and that's because they found bugs. And they've been lucky that those bugs haven't been exploited. And so that brings us to Songbird. We no longer have the luxury of being a non-entity. And so we have to launch well, and that's what brings us to the idea of essentially borrowing from Polkadot, which has been very successful, with a canary network, which is a network which we say is like, okay, this is the blockchain that we're sort of aiming towards. We absolutely say to you that this is not the hardened, institutional capable blockchain that we are aiming to build, but this is the testing ground for everything we're building. And this token, because it has a defined supply, that token may have some value, and therefore that value then creates a better testing arena, because once you have some defined supply, and if I can take tokens away from someone, then that person actually has a loss, as opposed to just playing poker with fake chips. Then you are testing in a real live adversarial environment, and doing that is a really valuable way to launch something that you are really want to get to the point where it's institutionally hardened. And that's the idea of Flare. The idea of Flare is that we want to launch. We would like to launch with as few issues with the network as is remotely possible. We would like to, because we want this utility that we put forward to actually be available and to not be too scary, and for people not to get losses from bugs. And so Songbird is a way to, we think, to achieve that. And so that's the evolution of our thinking. In a way, we're a victim of our own.
Well, there you go. I think another really important thing, Mickey, that he brings up within this interview is the fact that they've noticed with a lot of these DeFi hacks that, some are happening on ecosystems that did have auditing done, and they're really more occurring due to like user behavior that's not anticipated in like micro economies forming within these blockchain ecosystems. And that's something that you cannot audit for until you see like real live money, people's actual decisions being made and how they do things on the network. Who knows? There could be use cases that they have never even dreamed of that are going to be occurring on the network, and they wouldn't have a way to test those until they can see people putting, real value at stake, like he was talking about at the end there.
That's well said. I agree with that. That is one thing that I learned from this, understanding the behaviorals of the users in an environment that's real. Security auditing testing can only do so much for just the code, but the actual network out there, you can't really test for that. Now, remember, Songbird is not a test net. It's a mainnet. So it's a real network. There will still be the cost in test net, which will be the real test net. And then Songbird will act as a real world value network that will be tested for the Flare network. But in its way, it's going to be a mainnet. So just understand that Songbird is still a mainnet network, and it's going to be identical to the Flare network. So they look at Flare as being hardened, more institutional grade, but Songbird is still going to be a representation of exactly what Flare is. So once we see it up there, we'll have to judge and make decisions on our own of how much risk there really is to putting value on there. We're also getting Songbird for free and from our airdrop. so we could utilize the value that we're getting to be able to test on the network. And that might actually have higher value in the future. It's very possible that this network could spin off into something like Kusama down the road, where it's going to be a full-fledged network of its own and have high value. It's very possible with this large community.
Yep, absolutely. And I kind of imagine if Flair is successful, some of that will definitely pour into Songbird, as we'll see
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people trying to get in on that success and develop on Songbird in the hopes of moving to Flair. But yeah, let's take it over to this next clip, Mickey, which I think should have people excited.
Applications are working with you in Flair and how they support Flair. Can you tell us a bit about that?
So we've got a few announcements that are coming out in the next couple of weeks, but I can't talk about those because people hate it when you pre-announce their announcements. But maybe I shouldn't even say that. But there's some stuff, there's some interesting things. I think that people that want to work with Flair will be kind of making themselves known in the next couple of weeks, which we're super excited by. But as I think most of the community knows, we've got Flair Finance, 888, Sparkles, Panther, Gala, of course, one of our most exciting use cases. And who else have we got? Ori, of course. I mean, most, for me, extremely exciting with Ori to be able to actually use those F assets to create a stablecoin. And then, I personally have some things in mind that I will be putting forward as a governance proposal that will then allow those assets potentially to be used in way more interesting ways, even than what we're already putting forward. So, but that's a governance proposal once the network's up, and I think that could be quite fun. So.
Wow. Mickey, I think I listened to that interview multiple times and I never picked up that he said that he was going to be putting some proposals forth personally on future use cases for F assets. So
that's really exciting stuff. What they're building here with the F assets is just phenomenal. It's going to be amazing of how far they're going to be able to take this, because unlocking all that value into smart contracts and creating the state connector system, which literally digests all the data, what they've showed is just an example in the white paper. And what the team is developing here and bringing on more projects and layer twos, what's to come out of this could be something really massive. I mean, at the infrastructure level, it's built in a way that it can be one of the top networks in all of crypto. And that's not too far speculation. The technology is there. The team is there to design it and has been working on it for 3 years. And we have the community there with a good governance structure. So it's definitely something to be excited about. And there should be hype around it because it has the potential to be there when you understand all the facts and the details and specifics of the network. It's very hard to understand that if you don't know all those things and you just look at it on the surface. Oh, why didn't I receive my token when they said I was going to receive it? That's kind of one of the little components of something much bigger being built here.
yeah, and I mean, it's like you can be upset about timeline changes and think that negatively affects the project, but there's a lot of us out there that don't really think it's a big deal either. So, just because some people do or some don't doesn't necessarily uh mean everybody should be worried about certain things. To me, I think it's just a matter of the facts at hand. Is they've gotten way more interest than they thought. There's way more people that are probably going to be on the network right when it launches than they thought, and all of those things have led them to want to have more thorough testing in a real life environment instead of being able to just monitor it slowly as it goes live and make adjustments as needed. So I think that's just a huge part. And then also, I mean, I don't think it's very far fetched to think at this point that there could easily be 15 to 20 different projects on Flare by the end of its first year. And, if you look at Trustline and Flare Finance, well, those are like going to be multiple different applications in one. I mean, Flare Finance has 6 that you can use just inside that one ecosystem. So it's not like Flare Finance is just one mini little project that's doing lending. They're doing everything, maybe outside of derivatives for DeFi. So I think that's like all really important to think about is, you're not going to be on this network and maybe waiting a year before there's much to do on it. There's going to be a ton available right out the gate. And I think that's really special and an important thing to remember as we kind of keep going on this pace. We'll see, if Flare is able to launch in October. I'd say that definitely seems like the earliest it's possible. It could take longer. Who knows? They may need longer Songbird testing times and things like that, or they find some new thing they really think they should add before it goes out. And then obviously they have plans for the future, so I'm sure that helped in deciding on Songbird.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the ability to launch these applications right when the network launches. Like, look at, not to knock on networks like Cardano or Polkadot, but Cardano launched 3 years ago, doesn't even have smart contracts. You can't still build applications on it. It's still developing that. Just because that network is out there and Flare delayed launching their token, when Flare launches, it's going to have full capabilities to do everything, to be able to delegate to the FTSO. The whole governance is going to be set. The validators are going to be connected to other networks through the state connector system. You're going to have applications launching, real DeFi, real smart contracts using Ethereum virtual machine. So all those things are going live once the network launches. It's not something that these other networks are still years trying to figure out and develop. Just because they launched earlier, they're actually behind. Flare is going to leapfrog everything else because it already has that built into it. And that's something that we kind of got to remember here. Just because the launch date was delayed does not mean the whole project, because you could look at things on the surface and it looked like, oh, this is delayed, it's being delayed. But, well, what is it launching with is really more important. Is it just launching and then it's going to be a 2-year development process? No, it's launching and it's going to have full capabilities on Songbird fully to test all these applications. And then when the institutional hardened grade Flare launches, it's going to be fully ready to go and being one of the elite networks in the whole crypto industry.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If they had an ICO in 2017 and with where Flare is in their development cycle in terms of having smart contracts accessible and usable on the network, they're about at the exact same point Cardano and Polkadot are, and both of those had 2017 ICOs and are on the verge of getting smart contracts. So just like I have very little patience for this at this point. For anybody that wants to complain about time, it's like you don't have to be involved in the network.
No, not at all. You're absolutely right. Participation, nobody is pressuring anyone in the XRP community from participating, but I do think that the XRP community is going to go through a transition here. We're going to go from, some people are going to go from speculators to actually realizing that these are community-driven, decentralized public blockchains for the community to participate in, and others will be speculators riding the coattails of Ripple. So you decide what you want to be in this future ecosystem that is developing called crypto, because it's no longer looking at the exchange and looking at Fiat Leak and seeing if the price of XRP went up or down today. Because now you'll be able to set yourself up in DeFi to earn yield. You'll be able to participate in governance, and you'll be a founding member of a blockchain network that years from now could have trillions in value on. So that's the potential that's here. These are community-driven networks. We are going to be participants in Flare Network. So that's important to remember. And there's different levels of participation. You could simply just delegate your vote and vote on governance, and that's participating. And then you're a member of the Flare community and you're doing your part to help the network.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, people shouldn't forget that, David Schwartz just came out and his team at RippleX with a proposal to add side chains to the XRP ledger specifically so that they could have smart contract functionality at least some point in that ecosystem in order to bring DeFi and the things that Flare's trying to do and is going to have ready now. That stuff's not going to be around for a while with XRP. We see how long it takes for all these other networks to get them up and running. So, The trend's there. So, I mean, if you believe in Ripple and XRP, you don't have to believe in necessarily what Flare has built, but, kind of the route they're going and what they're trying to do is very similar to what a lot of other people in the industry and big time players think everything's going. And let's not forget, like, Bitcoin and crypto were created so that people could do the operations of like a financial ecosystem rather than just relying on these big and opaque businesses to do it for us where we don't know what's going on. So that requires something from all of us. If that's not for you, you can definitely just buy the token and hold it. That's doing a little. But ultimately, if these, ecosystems and networks are going to
Honestly,
go
that's
where
not
we
doing
want them,
anything if you hold it.
I
If you
mean, you
hold it
own
and do
it.
nothing, if you hold it and you do nothing, you're not helping the network. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not. You're being lazy.
Yeah, so I mean, we're getting to a point where like if these things are really going to drive in the future, like normal people are going to have to participate in them too to get them to like the true potential that blockchain networks and DeFi and all this stuff actually has. But yeah, that's all my rant for that.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but I mean, it doesn't take much for somebody to delegate a vote. You could hold and delegate. It doesn't take much effort just to, look up how to do that. It's going to be very simple and it's very risk-free. And you could participate in the governance and stay along. We all want decentralization. Everyone wants a network decentralized, but with decentralization means community participation and governance. So decentralized networks can absolutely evolve and make changes. That's where governance comes in. Flare has built this really cool liquid democracy governance structure into the network already. So it's going to be built in there. So there's different parameters that are set that we could change as a community. And we could discuss the changes and we could see which Spark dependent applications we want on next. And I think that's really will bring us together more as a community than ever we had with XRP, because we'll all be part of something, not just hoping it rises in value, but being able to participate in it and make decisions on governance and kind of evolve the network with the community, the stakeholders, the validators, the nodes, the foundation, the Flare Limited team. So there's multiple different, components to the Flare network. The community is one, and we're the biggest, and we don't really want to give away our advantage that we have here as a community early on. So that's why I say I think it's important, being in the community to let the rest of the community know we have a chance here to participate. And I think we should at no risk.
Absolutely. I mean, the base level of the FTSO should be pretty simple for most people. And that is going to wrap it up for us today. This is the DeFi Standard. I'm Patty XRP, and
Mickey B. Fresh.
we're out. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.